So I gotta be honest with you all, as I sat down to make this video, I intended to keep things pretty professional, really just being an objective look at everything new that was added in Fallout 4's Anniversary Edition. Anniversary Edition has been super confusing. It includes all of the old Creation Club stuff released before 2019, but then also 9 totally new things that just came out this week. And I wanted to talk about these 9 new things, except over the course of testing these 9 items, I slowly start to lose it. Because yeah, some of this stuff is just really rough and very clearly not fully tested. So for that reason, perhaps this video is best experienced in its true form, as I gradually and chronologically get more frustrated with Fallout 4's Anniversary Edition. Which even right off the bat, if you're somebody who actually supported all of this stuff, you're buying all of those paid mods back in 2019 like I mostly was to make videos, you kind of get screwed here. I either have to buy this $20 bundle, even though I own most of the stuff in it and I don't get a new discount, or individually buy all of the items which add up to more than $20. So hey, like the video if you can. One of the more unique new weapons is the Ion Gun. In-game, this is a prototype by Poseidon Energy, so you have a short quest going through their old files and development of this weapon to unlock it for yourself. It's definitely interesting lore-wise, you'll find out all these details, but the entire quest is just on one of these floors in the Vault-Tec Regional HQ, so it's super simple. You're quite literally just going from room to room, uncovering a bit more info and mostly just raiding terminals. In the end, you're left with one copy of the Ion Gun, which is a special weapon, I guess. It utilizes fusion cores as ammo, including a full 500 shots like all the other fusion core weapons, but it's a super small pistol and basically recoil free, which just makes this absolutely hilarious to use. I kept using it throughout the playthrough, and you could sort of just spam headshots on enemies with relative ease. This thing doesn't deal a ton of damage, but the utter lack of recoil and massive magazine does make it a pretty unique energy weapon in Fallout 4. It has some of the typical upgrade paths and quite a few customization options as well, but as a $4 standalone purchase, hell no. I wouldn't even consider buying this one and download something free instead, like the incredibly high quality Zap Gun. Next up is the CyberDog, a new dog companion that is very closely inspired by Rex from Fallout New Vegas. The dog itself has a quest to get it. One of the broader changes from this update is Bethesda changed the Creation Club quests. You don't just get a giant spam as you load in now, and you actually have to do specific things to start these quests, except for some reason they kept it incredibly vague and hard to trigger. You can find out what you have to do just by looking at your installed content. You can see all the old Creation Club and even this new stuff here. And like for here, it just tells me to go to the Nahant Oceanological Society. I spent ages wandering around this location having no freaking clue how to actually trigger this one. It turns out you have to pick up this holotape and actually read one of the specific entries on it in order to eventually trigger this quest and get the dog for yourself. From there, it's pretty simple, but they clearly tried to make this one a bit more interesting. You take this little boat to a totally new world space with a random junkyard on an island. Because yes, Bethesda decided that in order to unlock a cool new CyberDog companion, you first have to kill a bunch of dogs. In the end, the CyberDog is yours with some unique features. To control this one, you actually plug your Pip-Boy into it, which is, I guess, a nice touch. It's certainly a bit more different than some of the other dogs out there. You can control things like personality, either being passive or aggressive, and other things like the dog's name. And on the aggressive mode, he is seriously aggressive. My CyberDog would regularly ditch me to chase enemies into some buildings, although typically he would make his way back to me after the fact. But otherwise, this is literally just a new dog companion. Once you complete this quest, you just have a $2 CyberDog. Alternatively, you could just download Project CyberDog, which is almost the exact same thing and completely free. The Institute Plasma weapons are a bit more interesting, as I actually really like some of these new weapons. They're from some Institute agents in the field, meant to be prototype plasma weapons made by this faction, and you get 3 of them: a pistol, a rifle, as well as a Gatling option. And in their base versions, these are largely what you would expect, just a plasma version of these Institute weapons. But honestly, thanks to the sounds and some of the customization options, I found myself really enjoying these. The weapons use this mix of laser and plasma sounds in one. And I think it sounds really great, and that coupled with how strong many of these are, since they are really using a plasma base, makes them very satisfying to use in Fallout 4. And some of these attachments can make these weapons quite a bit more unique gameplay-wise and very powerful, especially in the late game, and even sometimes have an Institute take on other weapons in the Fallout universe, which I personally was a big fan of. So overall, I think the weapons themselves are a cool new addition, but there's one big problem. There's no world where this weapon pack is worth $6. It's literally just 3 new weapons. Instead, you could grab the Institute Technology Overhaul for free, which adds in 30 weapons, And the other big issue here is these new plasma weapons aren't in the level list, they're just for you. The Institute really lacks interesting weapons in Fallout 4, and if these got distributed, it actually would be a lot more appealing. It would make that faction more interesting. Instead, the way you get these is even more confusing than the last. I just mentioned how a new quest starts in the Parkview Apartments, except it's not actually there. That's a lie. Instead, you need to head over to the Parkview Lounge with the super mutants. You can get here from the Parkview Apartments. You basically just go to the roof and then cross this bridge. You'll notice a bunch of super mutants, and then you'll know in the right place, and then just work your way down to this door. As I was making this video, I genuinely thought I would be able to bang it out relatively quickly, and what ended up taking the most time was figuring out how to start these quests. But then the mod to truly break me, we have the Bunker Home Pack, which honestly at first sounded pretty interesting. It adds in 4 new player homes as well as 50 new workshop items, except this one has a ton of problems. The quest itself is fine. You're following in the footsteps of some past residents in these bunker homes, and they all have a unique ideology. So you get to read pages upon pages of their story, and even get some lore around each location. I wouldn't say it's outright bad, it's just the sheer amount of notes, terminal entries, and holotapes that you're having to consume is overwhelming. It's in that old Creation Club style where everything's just written down. There's no new audio recordings for any of this. But via this quest, you're just given 4 new player homes. You actually get them relatively easy. Each of these has their own theme and they're bunkers of some kind. One is basically a posh smart home, a fully underground smart home with several shops and a plethora of bedrooms, all in a very lush environment and with very lush furnishings. You'll notice those 50 workshop items come in all throughout these new homes to furnish them, and this one even comes with a new golden pistol. Another one is a former Vault-Tec display vault. The vault example they would show to those interested in vaults. This one being located in their Commonwealth HQ and featuring 2 bedrooms as well as this pool area underneath. You also get a full-on vault door and even this robot, but they don't do anything. You only get to open the door the first time and you can't close it again, and this robot just wanders about. There is a cave sanctuary meant to be a bit more peaceful and out of the way. It's on the edge of the map and does come with a couple of retro-styled homes as well as a big body of water in the middle. All throughout these bunkers you could find some environmental storytelling describing what went on here before and even notes explaining that further. And finally, a legit small vault location, pretty similar to a basement bunker that you've seen in the series so far, and kind of what you'd imagine with a prepper bunker under somebody's home. To go along with this are of course those 50 new workshop items, and you could use them anywhere. But I wouldn't recommend this one at all because it has a bunch of problems. And I have to question if this was even tested. As you probably noticed, a bunch of these bunkers have really weird visuals. The last one is just completely blown out lighting wise, and the others are incredibly foggy, which just looks kind of bad. I definitely don't want to live here, but even functionally, these don't really work right now. The bunkers are nice in that you could delete almost everything inside of them, basically going in as a blank slate. But I noticed in most of the main areas, like the big open area in each bunker, I couldn't actually place anything down. It was almost like there was no foundation to place things on. Thankfully, things did resume working in the bedrooms. One of the bugs that in Bethesda's fairness was likely very easy to miss and probably just slipped through QA was all of the bunker doors are named test cells. Like, yeah, it's probably just an oversight, but if you just play the quest, you immediately see this. And the biggest problem of all, and what made it clear this release build wasn't actually tested, you can't fast travel from the bunkers. You can fast travel to the bunkers after you unlock them, but once you're inside, you're not able to fast travel out. Several of these bunkers are literally within other locations, like, you know, the Vault-Tec Regional HQ. So for a bunch of these, if you actually want to leave and go do that next quest, you have to go through several load screens to do that, to escape your player home. These are effectively non-functional right now unless you just like spending time in load screens and without building in a major portion of that bunker that you purchased. Because yeah, these are 750 points and frankly, that's just insane. Even if everything was working properly, this content is still not that high quality and definitely not worth that price. All the way back in 2016, we got Basement Living totally for free. This mod got an update last summer. It adds in 10 basements or bunker player homes that you can easily place in your settlements. Please do not spend money on this one. Scavengers is another interesting one. It introduces a new bodysuit armor and one new weapon with the 12.7mm SMG, even featuring custom ammo for it. The new outfits are implemented in a more fun way thanks to these new sea scavenger enemies. You start the quest by interfacing with this note in Oberlin Station, and it'll take you into the glowing sea to take on these new NPCs. And even this note is so freaking easy to miss. It just posted up on a door somewhere. Doesn't tell you it's on that door. So you'll see and get a ton of the outfits this way, basically taking down enemies and then looting their things on them. It's almost like a diver suit of sorts, and there even is one unique variant you get later on. You can add a hood as well as increase some of the stats, but otherwise it's a pretty straightforward piece of armor. And of course, the single suit does cover your entire body. And during the quest, you also get the 12.7mm SMG, a recreation of a New Vegas favorite. This one's pretty simple and has some basic customization, but otherwise is just a basic weapon mod. Although Fallout 4 could always use more SMG, so in that regard it is kind of nice. Sadly, this one too is just not well implemented. The quest is incredibly confusing. You get a bunch of lore from these sea scavengers, which, yeah, definitely cool, but it's pages upon pages of holotape notes. It literally felt like work to read through all of this, which I definitely did. I'm a very good YouTuber and I want to know every piece of lore about the sea scavengers, but I know many of you aren't as amazing and great as me and will just skip through this. And perhaps the much bigger issue, during one phase of this quest, you have to follow a signal. It's one of those typical Fallout 4 beep 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 quest. Eventually, you need to go down this elevator. This is the correct way to go, but going this way makes the signal get weaker. Hopefully you can see how this could lead to a massive amount of confusion and made this video actually come out about 45 minutes later than it otherwise would have. Like at this point, I had to look up guides or posts about how to start or finish nearly all of these quests. It is genuinely insane how poorly these are implemented. And this one even just randomly gave me a quest marker at the Crater of Adam. I have no idea why it was pointing me there, and I went there for no reason. You can buy an armored Brahmin for $1. This one is great. Go to ECD Downs, take down this one NPC, and then you get an armored Brahmin that you could send to your settlement. It increases your settlement defense by 5. Thankfully, this Brahmin does come with the incredibly innovative new feature that makes it well worth the money. This is one of those features that truly elevates this mod over some of the free alternatives because you can even rename this Brahmin with over 100 unique names at your disposal. The only problem is it'll take you about a day and a half to actually get through all those names. Yeah, this is legitimately the only way I found to cycle through the names. And like when this is how it works, at a certain point, having 100 different names is not a feature. That's actually taking away from the experience because it's going to take so long to cycle through these. When it comes to stuff like this, it's not a question of what's wrong with this mod or even what's the good free option. It's really, why did we decide this should cost money? Someone made a choice to sell this to you, not to, you know, maybe add in a few other creatures you can grab in addition to the armored Brahmin, but no, let's sell one armored Brahmin for $1. That's how we're going to celebrate our 10-year anniversary. And in a similar vein, we have Railroad's Clandestine Couture. This adding in 5 new railroad outfits for those of you that want some dirty railroad clothes. This is another one where it's just like, why is this a paid mod? The 5 outfits are perfectly fine, just like the armored Brahmin is perfectly fine. It honestly would be kind of cool as a free mod. Each of these outfits has some kind of weathering or injury on them, but otherwise they're just some general railroad clothes. It's pretty basic overall, and the fact that you're spending real-world money to buy a bunch of in-game outfits and all of them come dirty or injured in some way is just kind of funny to me. Oh yeah, and for some reason, 2 of these outfits just can't be placed on mannequins. I have no idea why. This time around, Bethesda actually did tell you where to go to get these, but for whatever reason, it's a really long quest to get these 5 outfits. You're doing a bunch of dead drops with the railroad, and in one regard, I guess it's nice they try to stretch it out a bit, but it's so fetch questy and simple with no actual dialogue that it almost felt worse how much content there was before you get the outfits. Repurposed power armor helmets could have been a really cool one. This offers the 4 major power armor helmets as just regular armor pieces with some new designs on them. This is simply added, just go to Daisy's and Good Neighbor and the tribal variants of the helmets will appear from time to time in her inventory. This all being a reference to Fallout 2. You've probably seen this image. It's a tribal from Fallout 2 wearing a broken down power armor helmet. It's been spread all throughout the Fallout communities. Clearly this paid mod is inspired by it, but funny enough, this actually isn't really a thing in Fallout 2. It's not like you could find tribals with this armor. So this is a new option for Fallout 4, and I think that's a pretty cool implementation, kind of throwing back to this and even adding a few extra copies. Is it worth 50 credits? Probably not. The helmets still have their eyes, which was the core aspect of the other version. It was a big part of what made it so cool, and you could just tell this was lazily implemented. All of these helmets have the same exact armor values in Fallout 4. My XO1 helmet should not have the same value as T45. It would take 5 minutes to fix that, and someone did make a faithful recreation of this mod mod in the past for free, but it's just the one helmet, so you don't have all these options. Beyond that, Bethesda had 4 power armor skins that you could buy for 100 points each come out as well, but as some of you may remember, all the way back in 2019, I refused to cover these skin drops, and I am still refusing to cover skin drops. We don't need skin microtransactions in my decade-old $60 single-player RPG. Stuff like this is just ridiculous in my eyes. Which is a pretty good overall description of Fallout 4's Anniversary Edition. This video is not meant to tell you if the new upgrade's worth it or not, if you should buy this or not. In reality, what I'm covering is just a small segment of the new content from that Creations bundle, because it has all the old stuff also. But I still think this can inform your purchasing decision. When you look at some of the respect that's being paid to the audience, the community with some of these releases, yeah, it's not great. This is not the type of product or even company I want to be supporting right now. When you implement broken content like this, especially when it's paid, you're wasting not only somebody's time, but also their money. And when it comes to Bethesda, this is not the first time they've done this. They've done it several times over now. And it's like, even just from the onset, if you look at some of the content from Anniversary Edition, it's insulting they're offering this. It's not really a celebration of Fallout 4 at all. But even further, as you dive deeper and start looking at what was actually changed, what some of this new content is in this bundle, half of it has bugs, is confusing, or is outright broken. I didn't actually think my Anniversary Edition video would be super popular and that people are going to be a fan of all of the content I show, but I also didn't think it would be this bad. To be clear, this is years old content mostly. A lot of this is old Creation Club stuff Bethesda's been sitting on and clearly didn't test or fix for this release. And even further, when you look at some of the fixes that were brought to the game, like the VATS fix or the stutter fix, do you know how that actually happened? They literally just undid the fix from last year. They undid the thing that broke everything from the next-gen update, and now the game works again. We waited a year and a half for that to come, but oh wait, no, they actually broke the game all over again with a bunch of separate issues that we now have to wait for them to fix again. Hopefully this time it goes a little bit faster than a year and a half.